Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a village near the forest. Whenever she went out, the little girl wore a red riding cloak, so everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go to visit her grandmother, as it had been a while since they'd seen each other. "That's a good idea," her mother said. So they packed a nice basket for Little Red Riding Hood to take to her grandmother. When the basket was ready, the little girl put on her red cloak and kissed her mother goodbye. "Remember, go straight to Grandma's house," her mother cautioned. "Don't dawdle along the way, and please don't talk to strangers. The woods are dangerous." "Don't worry, Mommy," said Little Red Riding Hood, "I'll be careful." But when Little Red Riding Hood noticed some lovely flowers in the woods, she forgot her promise to her mother. She picked a few, watched the butterflies flit about for a while, listened to the frogs croaking, and then picked a few more. Little Red Riding Hood was enjoying the warm summer day so much that she didn't notice a dark shadow approaching out of the forest behind her. Suddenly, the wolf appeared beside her. "What are you doing out here, little girl?" the wolf asked in a voice as friendly as he could muster. "I'm on my way to see my grandma who lives through the forest, near the brook," Little Red Riding Hood replied. Then she realized how late she was and quickly excused herself, rushing down the path to her grandma's house. The wolf, in the meantime, took a shortcut. The wolf, a little out of breath from running, arrived at Grandma's and knocked lightly at the door. "Oh, thank goodness, dear. Come in, come in. I was worried sick that something had happened to you in the forest," said Grandma, thinking that the knock was from Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf let himself in. Poor Granny did not have time to say another word before the wolf gobbled her up. The wolf quickly put on Granny's nightgown and cap, got into bed, and pulled the covers over his nose. He was eagerly awaiting the little girl's arrival. A few minutes later, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf jumped out of bed and opened the door. "Come in, come in. I'm so glad to see you," said the wolf in a disguised voice. Little Red Riding Hood was a bit hesitant but entered the cottage. She had a strange feeling when she saw her grandmother lying in bed. "Grandmother, what big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, my dear," replied the wolf. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you with," roared the wolf. Just as the wolf was about to pounce on Little Red Riding Hood, a woodcutter, who was passing by the cottage, heard her scream and burst in the door. He saw the wolf, grabbed him, and made him spit out poor Granny, who was still in one piece. "Granny, you're safe!" Little Red Riding Hood cried. "Oh, my dear, thank goodness you were not eaten," said Grandma. "I should have warned you about the wolf in the woods." The woodcutter then chased the wolf away, and Little Red Riding Hood learned a valuable lesson. She promised never to stray from the path and to listen to her mother's warnings. And they all lived happily ever after.